Good day and greetings from the Great White North. My name is Prickly Poo and welcome to day 74 of a year of change. Today we're sort of catching up. I meant to do this last week, but I sort of ran out of the food I'm going to show you. And then I sort of got sidetracked as well by those stupid little fucking pea Cheeto things, which made me so angry. But I offloaded them to people at work. They took care of it. They're good, so we're all right. But I meant to do this back then, and of course I ate it and ran out, and I didn't get any more until yesterday after work. So, basically what these are things that you're probably, some of you might be able to find. If you're up in the Northeast, then you're probably okay. But the further west you go and the further south you go, the more expensive and the more scarce they become until finally you can't get anything like this anywhere. So, we will start with the basics. These are mainly things that sort of, where I'm on the east coast of Canada, and these are sort of staples that we get every now and then. Mainly there's sort of a batch in the springtime actually I'll show you what it is first. It is one of these. Boop. This is, yes, it is called a fiddlehead. Basically what these are, you may have seen these out in the woods somewhere, and yes, I'll show you a nice close-up. Ooh, look at that. Oh, right there, I covered my face. Ooh, fancy. It's not in focus at all. Here we go. This is a fiddlehead. Basically, all it is, if I uncurl it here, if it'll let me, yes, it will. It will let me do it. You may have seen these out in the woods somewhere, if you're walking along somewhere in a park or a nature thing or something. Ooh, I broke it. But essentially, all they are, they're just a fern that hasn't actually unfurled. Unfurling ferns. There we go. Now, these usually end up showing up in early spring where I am. So I tend to wait for these. They do freeze well, but they never last. So this is actually a raw one, which you can't eat because you'll get very, very sick off it. But I can show you what happens when you cook them. They turn, as you can see, a slightly gooier, grosser shade of green. But if I unfurl this a little easier... Oh, it's falling apart. Never mind. It broke. This isn't going well at all. Anyway, there. Yeah. There we go. So anyway, we'll stick with the raw one because it looks better and it's easier to deal with. So basically all these are, they sort of taste... They don't taste like asparagus, really. I'm going to get rid of that gooey piece that fell on my arm. Yeah. But you can sort of cook them the same way. You need to boil them for a very long time. If you ever do get the chance to try these, if you're up in the Northeast or something, or in it's springtime, or if you do get the chance to buy some and they're fairly cheap, these are about $5 a pound right now, and they're in season and they're local, so it'll give you an idea of how expensive they are. I have seen some pictures, the further south you go, where sometimes it's like $16-20 a pound, which is crazy. They aren't worth that. Don't eat them that way. But basically all they are is just a young fern. And I don't know if you can see it. If I pull those out, you can see the sort of leaf things. That's not very good. Anyway, there we go. A little bit all the way out. Eventually, that will unfurl and become what you would normally see as a fern. Now, if you decide that you want to cultivate these yourself, don't do it. These are a very specific breed or species, I guess, of fern called an ostrich fern. Their scientific name is, and they're specifically cultivated for this. If you go out in the middle of the woods and you try to pick one of these and eat them, you're probably going to get very, very sick and you might die. Even these ones, which are actually cultivated for food, if you don't prepare them properly, basically you need to rinse them and wash them over and over and over again. And then you need to boil them for about 20 minutes or more just to kill everything off. You can still get really sick. Even if they're just undercooked, you can get sick off them. I know that sounds kind of weird. It's not like a blowfish thing where you're going to get poisoned. It's just that it will not feel good at all. But once they do get cooked, this one's destroyed. But they get sort of soft and gooey like beans, I guess. Or asparagus is probably the best way to sort of equate it. But they have a unique taste to them. It's not like a magic plant or something that's going to say, oh, it tastes like cheesecake and it expends more energy chewing it than it does, that it goes in. So you can eat them forever. That plant does not exist. I've looked for it everywhere, and it's just not going to happen. But they are really, really good. And if you do get a chance to try some, I highly recommend it. As far as nutrition-wise, I mean, you can go up and take a look and see what they're worth. But I guess the main thing with these, I mean, they're pretty good for nutrition. But the main thing is the vitamin A. They've got about 100 times more vitamin A in them than milk. And like you're looking at the same amount of vitamin A that you would get in like liver. It's almost that good. So if you are deficient in vitamin A, and I don't know how you would know, then certainly fiddleheads are probably the way to go. I've completely destroyed this one, which normally they stay tightly curled, and then you just put whatever you want on them. Butter or salt or pepper, whatever. But it is, there's just gooey stuff everywhere. Look. Anyway, they are very, very good. If you do get a chance, like I say, the further northeast that you are, the easier it is to get them in the springtime. And, as farther south you go, if you decide that you want to spend $20 to try a vegetable, that's up to you. I wouldn't do it. But if you ever get a chance to try them, I would suggest you just give them a quick try. Because they're different. And especially up here, we only get these in the springtime, really. Because, again, you can freeze them really, really well. They'll last forever because it's just like any other vegetable. The only thing is that they usually don't last too long because everyone always ends up eating them. Oh, it's all springy now. Bing, bing, bing. Anyway, that is the main vegetable. But I wanted to show you something else to sort of make up for the fact that I just went off on a rant about those stupid pea Cheetos. And this is more of a snack food that we actually have up here. Any of you there's fiddlehead stuff everywhere. Fiddlehead dust. Any of you that are, in Maine or New England are probably going to see this as well. This is another one of those northeastern things. And it's more of a snack food than a vegetable. And it doesn't look like much, but there it is. This, in case you're wondering, is called dulse. And essentially is dried seaweed. This one is purple. The majority of them are, the edible kind anyway. So if you're wondering why it's not green, well, this is why. And this one, nutrition-wise, isn't terrific. There isn't really a whole hell of a lot that it does. It's really, really, really rich in iron. It's like 4 times the amount of iron in spinach, but spinach is not super high in iron to begin with. Just so you know, that whole, it's got lots of iron in it and it will make you strong, that is the result of a typo that no one bothered to fix, and it went 1 decimal point over too far. So it actually people thought that it had 10 times the amount of iron that it actually does. I'm getting off on a tangent. But anyway, so even though spinach has, a reasonable amount of iron, if you are in the mood to try some iron, then you can try some dulse. And it's sort of rubbery. If you can see, I'm going to see if I can bring this in close as well. Boy. There we go. And it's not really chewy. It's sort of like, imagine like a vegan version of a really super, super, super thin beef jerky that doesn't taste anything like beef. When you're eating it, they don't mask it or anything. They don't flavor it. You can tell you're eating a plant. And in some cases, you can tell you're eating seaweed. But it is really, really good. And for those of you out there that like salty stuff, this is great as well because they just take it out of the ocean and they let it dry. So all the sea salt sort of gets stuck into it. Every now and then you might find like little itty bitty shells or things like that. But just in general, this is another one of those things that if you're ever up in the Northeast and you want to try it, I've just dropped dulse all over my floor, so I have to pick that up. There you go. I can sort of show a little bit more. There we go. There's a nice long string of it. So, no, I'm not going to eat any on camera because then I'm just going to sit here and chew it, and it's going to be gross, and then I'll smile and go, and there's going to be a big purple thing stuck in my teeth. It's pretty good. It's not one of those things that's like, it's an acquired taste. It is pretty good when you first try it. It's the same as, I'm trying to describe what it tastes like, but you really have to try it for yourself. But it's just sort of like a really thin, leafy vegetable, but just really, really salty and really sort of stringy and stuff. But it's very good. The best adults in the world comes from a location somewhat close to me. It's in a place called Grand Manan. So if you ever get a chance, if you're up around the Northeast and you see Grand Manan adults, buy it. Because it's the same price everywhere. You can get a huge bag for like $5. But Grand Manan adults, I don't know what they do with it. I don't know if it's how they cultivate it or how they dry it or whatever they do, but it's really, really good. I guess if you were to say, of all the dried seaweed snacks that are out there, by far, Grand Manan is the seaweediest, if that makes any sense. Anyway, I'm sure that we have some other ones around here, that people eat, but these are sort of the things that, especially seaweed, or dulse, so it's seaweed, it's fine. This is sort of a staple snack food that you can get pretty much all year round. It's a little more scarce in the wintertime, but in general, you can pretty much find it anywhere. So if you get a chance, definitely try it. It's one of those things that even if you try it and you have 5 other friends try it and you all hate it, you're not going to waste a whole lot of money on it because it's not that expensive. The fiddleheads, on the other hand, that, depending on how far south you are, that might run you into some money. However, it is a really, really good vegetable. It's not one of those that you think, oh, well, some people like it and some people don't. It's sort of like, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe how this tastes. And it's sort of like a pea with baby spinach. Actually, it's very close to baby spinach now that I think about it. So if you've ever tried not like just gooey canned shit, we're going back to spinach now. But if you ever get a chance to try just like real baby spinach, it is really similar to that. And whether you get it on, like, I think you can get it at Subway now and everything else. But if you do get a chance, try that. It's very similar to that. But it's a weird little plant. I'm trying to unfurl it still, and it's not working. So all I'm getting is, it's falling apart again. And this is the raw one. But if you do find them, double check on how you're supposed to prepare them. You can steam them or you can boil them. It's usually the best way. Once they're cooked, you can fry them up or do whatever you want with them. But the best thing to do is to really boil the shit out of them. Because if you took a handful and threw them into a pot and boiled them for 10 minutes, when you drain them, the water is really like a dark, dark, murky brown, almost black water. So sometimes you've got to drain it and then do it again. Because again, they're just an unfurled plant. So half the dirt and everything else that's stuck in there is still stuck in there. But they are really good as long as you keep them cooked properly and you don't, because if I ate this right now, I'd be probably very sick. Not dying and not like explodey poops, but it would not feel pleasant. I have eaten fiddleheads before where they weren't entirely cooked, and you just kind of feel like as if you had 3 or 4 cups of coffee right in a row. That sort of feeling. So be very careful when you're doing that. But once you've got them, butter, salt, and pepper, whatever you want to do, and they're really, really good. So you might like them. Of course, again, if you're way in the southwest, actually, it's going to be almost impossible to get them unless you're willing to pay a tremendous amount of money. But if you ever do get a chance, if you're up around the Northeast and it's anywhere between like mid-May, beginning of May, onward through, I think, probably the summertime, you should be able to grab some. But there is a unique little thing. As far as nutrition, like I say, there's the vitamin A is the main thing. It's got a whole honking bunch of vitamin A. I don't really know what that does. Same thing with adults. It has a lot of iron in it. And I don't really know what that does. But as far as calories go, these are actually fairly low in calories as well. The same amount, if you were to take 100 grams, which is like your 2 hands cupped full, they're only like 35, maybe 40 calories for all of that. Unless, of course, you're putting butter and salt and pepper and all the other good stuff on it. Good stuff. Other stuff that we are tracking all the time. So calorie-wise, they aren't that bad. I just, in my head, I'm thinking I'm going boing, 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 boing through the whole thing. But calorie-wise, they aren't that bad. As far as the vitamin A, to give you an idea, if you are one of those that you're trying to, you're tracking your vitamins or whatever, it gives you, I think, 120%, just that little handful, gives you 120% of what you need for the day. So they're really, chock full of it. So as far as the seaweed, I don't think it actually has a whole lot of nutritional value other than a high iron content. There are places that you can go, and maybe I'll put some in the links or in the description below. I'll put some links down there so that you can get a rough idea as to the nutrition if you want to track it, things like that. For those of you that have been following my food diary, you've probably seen some of these in there. They just go under fiddleheads or fiddlehead ferns in MyFitnessPal, and you can see them in there. If you get a chance to try them, then you just go in and do a search for them, and they'll be under that. So I have completely destroyed this one. It's still very springy and boingy though. The cooked one, unfortunately, is just... Oh, sorry for the noise. It's just sort of a mess, so I can't really unfurl that one. But this is sort of what it looks like even when it's cooked. It's a little more mushy. Anyway, that's pretty much it. I don't have any other information to give you other than my hands are now covered in goo because I'm mushing up peas, and I've got delts all over the place and this thing. But anyway, those are a couple of the different foods that we have up here in Canada. And again, these are just sort of an East Coast... It's just everywhere now. Not the raw one, just the cooked one. It's just... Don't play with these with your hands. Normally when you're serving these, you would use a spoon or a fork or some other serving utensil. The delts is fine. You can do whatever you want with that. But as far as the fiddleheads, you really do need to serve them properly because it's sticky. But anyway, these are just a couple of things that we have up here. I can't think of anything else that we really have that's really unique in my little portion of the world up here. I mean, the other things, I guess, would be poutine and rum. That's pretty much it. And pretty much everyone knows what poutine is. It's basically just fries with cheese and gravy. In case you didn't know, I know that sounds great, doesn't it? And then rum, if you don't know what rum is, then go ask your parents. They'll know. And you probably shouldn't be watching this anyway if you don't know what rum is. Good God. But it's very delicious, and you should definitely try some because it's made with molasses, which is good for you. Yes. So, the other thing was... Oh, no. Actually, never mind. Oh, I forgot what it was. I had completely forgot what the scientific name was for the fiddleheads. It starts with a something. The dolts was... I can't remember what it is. And I had it, and I was going to say it because it was one of those things I thought, no, I'm going to learn that one because that, more than the fiddleheads, is really sort of a maritime thing. And I can't remember what it is. It starts with a P. It's like... I think is the name. Anyway, I'll put links down there, and you can take a look at those as well. As for me, I'm going to go wash my hands because they're now completely coated. I forgot to wash this before I actually pulled it out of the bag, so it's now got all the gooiness that's on there. And then the cooked one is just a mess everywhere, and there's belts all over the floor. I don't know what I'm going to do. But for right now, thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked it, please poke the like button for me. And in the meantime, keep yourself warm and fuzzy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.